Welcome on into 19 on the Clock, your Tri-State High School and College Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Brad Pushkar. Joining me, as always, is my co-host, Jackson McCarty, once again live at Newport on the Levee. Jackson, how are you doing this week?
I'm doing good, Brad. I'm doing really good. We're about halfway through the high school football season at this point. We've got all 5 of our college teams back on the schedule for the week. And where we're at in my current schedule with the high school games is there's a lot of teams that we haven't been able to talk about yet that I think have earned their shine. There's some matchups like in the CHL that we're going to wait to talk about between Deer Park and Indian Hill. So, some things that are still on the horizon, but some schools that I think have been through some tests that maybe we didn't have time to talk about on this podcast that I think need to be spotlighted.
And some schools that you said last week, I am going to find a way to shoehorn this team into my discussion no matter what happens next week.
Shout out the Princeton Vikings because they are the exact reason this episode is happening the way it is.
Hey, I love it.
Yeah.
Like you said, we've got 5 games on the schedule for the college side of things. And the big thing I think that's going to be fun is it's conference play kicking off for the most part. A couple teams not.
Right.
But we've seen kind of a shift in some rosters, and we'll get to discuss that a little bit and see how we feel heading into week 4 now. 5,
yeah.
Yes.
Because the 0 week messes everybody up.
The 0 week messes me up, and I wasn't counting the buys in my head for some teams.
Well, yeah, because you have the obligatory buy that you pretty much have to take before week 5.
Yeah.
And, it just becomes a mess. But we are starting with the high school stuff this week. Yep. And since they're the namesake and the whole point behind this format being the way it is this week, we have more business to attend to. I was just saying, I was trying to gloss over because I haven't embarrassed myself.
Yes, you did. In the most ironic twist, I am beating you in our high school standings for predictions, and you are beating me in college. So on the high school side, you are 10-6. I'm 11-5. Go Moeller.
Yeah, Moeller helped you out in a tremendous way. Picking against Moeller has become an issue on this podcast a couple of different times.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I should have known better. But I am interested to see what happens if they run back into St. X later in the season.
And on the college side, congratulations. You are 14-1. I am 12-3.
Yeah. That all just boils down to the Miami games.
Yep.
That is all that is. What was the one I missed? Do we know?
It wasn't Miami. It was
I didn't take Texas.
No, you didn't take Texas. It was the Kentucky. It was a Kentucky game.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't remember which one.
I don't either. I know it wasn't Ole Miss because we both took Ole Miss.
Yes.
Either way. Point being, we are, as of right now, tentatively planning to switch and me be in charge of college, you in charge of high school this time next year if things continue the way they are.
Can't wait to start going out on Friday nights. It'll be really fun.
Yeah, it is a great time, let me tell you. But, all right, so like I mentioned, not exactly focusing on specific games that you're looking forward to this week, but teams that you need to know about as we hit the halfway point, teams that I didn't necessarily talk about at the beginning of the year and have flown under the radar that I really think need that shine. Princeton, the Vikings, as already mentioned, were the brainchild behind this. Only makes sense to start with them. They are also the only team on this list of 4 teams that is not undefeated.
Okay.
Guess who they lost to?
Oh, it was it Moeller?
Yep. They just helped you out big, and they pretty much doubled them up. It was 40-21. But other than that, they have wins over Colerain 32-2, Sycamore by 47, Lakota West by 17, then Lakota East by 35.
Yes.
It feels like they pick up more and more steam every single week. They're taking on very quality opponents. Now, West has had a weird run of things here recently, but we know what East is capable of. They shut down the running game in a big way, which we'll talk about. But overall, the big thing that I want to hone in on is how winnable the remaining schedule is. So, for example, like Mason is coming up this Friday. I think D'Angelo Burke is a very interesting player. I think that's going to be a fun game. Might have even been on my list had we done game-specific stuff. But the big one that I'm looking at right now is Middletown at the end of their schedule because that's the only remaining undefeated team within their conference. Middletown could have very easily been on this list.
I would say middies are one that have popped up in conversation for us.
But my trick is who they've played to this point. The meat and potatoes of their schedule is coming up. I think they have both Lakotas. They have Hamilton. They obviously have Princeton at the end of the year. So I want to see what happens when we hit that. Really, the best team I'd say they've played so far is Oak Hills, who very tough team. We know about Aaron McFarland. Yep. He's a very talented kid, but want to see a little bit more before I kind of anoint them to a list like this.
For sure.
So the kind of the point of this is I want to tell you what's working about this team. So if you decide to go out to a game on Friday, or maybe you're an alumni, or have a kid that goes there, and you go to a football game, you can listen to this episode and say, oh, I can talk about a couple things when I'm on the sidelines.
Yes.
Number one, already kind of hinted at it, their defense is spectacular. 19 points allowed in the last 4 weeks. Lakota West, they held them to 29 rushing yards. They held Lakota East to 128 total yards, including -5 rushing, which Ryder Hooks is a running back that I got sent out to earlier this year when he played Oak Hills, anticipating that he would break the school rushing record. He has done that now, but that just shows how talented of a back he is, that he was already doing that week 2 or 3 of the season of his senior year. He was already on that list. So, to shut them down like that is no small feat. Then they've also forced 4 fumbles, have 14 sacks as a team. Terrence Jones, shout out to him. He's got 4 through the year. They have the point number 2 that I would say is really working for them is their multiple approach to the running the ball. Zion Neal has been a very talented back. He's over 400 yards, 10.9 yards per carry, 6 touchdowns. One of the better ones that we haven't talked about on this podcast. There's another one, though, that we'll talk about here in just a minute that I feel almost ashamed that we haven't talked about him at this point in the year, because he's having a Devlin Daniel type of year. Okay. So there's a little teaser for what's to come. But behind Zion, you've got David Hambrick, who's over 200. They've got 12 rushing touchdowns as a team, almost 1,000 team rushing yards. And then to top it all off, Landon Myrie is the tight end that we thought he was. He was on the top 19 list, very talented kid. 21 receptions, 240 yards, 6 touchdowns. So to put a little bit more context to it, that equates to 50% of all of the completions on their offense, 46% of all passing yards, 75% of all passing touchdowns.
Very nice.
Yeah. So he has become the passing offense to this point, which was somewhat expected. And even when teams know that he's coming down the pike, they still can't stop it.
Is he just one of those bigger guys that it's hard to even get a hand in?
He's, especially for the college level, he's bigger, and you can tell, like we run into with so many of these guys. Since I've mentioned him, and he's kind of become what Cam O'Hara was to the podcast last year, Devlin Daniel. He's kind of one of those guys where it's like you see him on the field and you're like, oh yeah, that guy's just more talented,
Sure.
And it happens at the collegiate level. There's, you can't really avoid it. So yeah, with Princeton, I think that at the beginning of the year, I would have taken West. I would have taken, I would have considered East. There was a handful of teams that I think I would have put above Princeton as my GMC favorites, and that's been proven wrong to this point. So, yeah.
Impressive stuff by the Vikings so far.
Absolutely. Shout out to them. A team that we became very familiar with last year through football because they were just such an interesting story, had kind of found their mojo. They've continued that. And behind really what I believe should be a top 3, top 5 guy on top 19 next year, Taft Senators.
Okay.
Again, like Princeton was the only non-undefeated team on this, so they are 5-0. Some of their wins include an overtime win against Alter. They beat Mount Healthy 69-0, which I know, like compared to last year, you'd be like,
it's not the same.
What in the
Mount
world
Healthy
happened?
Team, but.
Yep, they've lost a lot of their talent. Their head coach went to Coleraine. Like it's a very different team, but still to win a game 69-0, it takes a lot of talent. We can't sit here and applaud Anderson pretty much every week for it and not give Taft their flowers. So those would be kind of the bigger ones of the remaining schedule. The game that I have circled is Aiken, who is a team we talked about last week when they played Lloyd, or 2 weeks ago maybe when they played Lloyd.
Yes.
2 weeks ago, because we had Highlands and Ryle last week. That they are still a very talented team that I'm keeping eyes on. Very interested to see how they all, how it all comes together for them. Should be a big CMAC matchup. The things that are working hinted towards it. Monsana Torber, their quarterback from last year, continues to be their quarterback this year, has been lighting the world on fire. Some of the most impressive quarterback numbers we've seen outside of Anderson, like we've already mentioned.
Yeah.
He has over 1,200 pass yards, a 75% completion rate, 16 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 250 rush yards, 2 touchdowns there. 18 touchdowns total, 0 interceptions, over 1,400 yards, completing the ball completing passes 3/4 of the time. You're not going to stop him very often.
Not much more you can ask for.
Exactly. He has been the engine behind Taft. He's been a massive reason they've been so successful over the past 2 years, and he's got another year to go. He's just in his junior year. Massive talent to keep eyes on. Again, and this kind of becomes a very similar trend to what you notice with a lot of the successful teams in the Tri-State, especially this year, a three-headed run game, or at least multifaceted run game.
Sure.
When you look at the guys that they have on their staff, Torbert obviously over that 250 threshold, but Lorenzo McMullen has over 300, he is also a 300-yard, 9-touchdown receiver, but he has over 270 rush yards, as does Eddie Holloway. As a team, they're over 1,100 rush yards, 16 touchdowns. Their defense doesn't really have like these crazy flashy sack numbers or turnover numbers. They just get after you behind the line of scrimmage. They have over 50 tackles for loss through 5 games. Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. and it's a pretty fanned out effort. Like, you've got a couple guys, JoJo Pouncey, Adam Kirtley, each have over 10 currently, but it's not just isolated to them.
Yeah.
It's, they have guys that are on 6, 7, 8 that are just kind of waiting in the wings, and somebody's going to get after you behind the line if you're not getting rid of it really quick, or if you're not running some kind of like RPO concept, which is honestly too convoluted for a lot of high schools to run.
For sure.
You're just kind of left at the whim of what has been a really, really aggressive Senators front 7. And then they're maximizing their turnovers. I said that they didn't really have that many. They have 7 so far, 4 forced fumbles, 3 interceptions. 2 of those have been returned for touchdowns. Both pick sixes by Keyshawn Torbert. Have to make sure that you mention him. Don't know if he's related to Monsana, but I would assume so.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm just, we'll roll with the punches.
We'll assume, but
yes.
Maybe we're wrong.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, Monsana or Keyshawn. But so yeah, they have such a wide skill level going on and it's all powered primarily by that quarterback, that it's creating this freedom almost to just flow and open up so many different pathways for the offense and really the defense to move forward just out of comfort.
Now let me ask you this, because you mentioned that three-headed run game, that is the trend that we are kind of seeing. I would argue not only at high school but also at higher levels of the game as well. At this point, there's 6, maybe 7, 8 running backs at like the NFL level where it's like they are the one guy.
I don't even think it's that many.
I know.
It's
I'm like
Henry,
McCaffrey, Henry.
Well, and even McCaffrey, man. Like, they mixed in Brian Robinson. They mixed in Garendo and who was the other one last year? But it was mostly injury.
Yeah, he's just weird where I'm like, I think if he's completely healthy, he runs it. If not, then he, doesn't. But yeah, I mean, it's other than that. Pollard,
and that's not by choice.
That's not really, by choice.
That's just because Tyjae Spears really hasn't become what they wanted him to become.
Well, and he's injured right now.
Yeah,
because he is on my IR.
Yeah, it's just a mess. Point being, even like Chase Brown.
Yeah,
has kind of, but point being, it's not a very common concept. In most of the best run games, like what Detroit's got going on, is at least a 2-headed monster.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's certainly become far more common at that level. Interested to see, or it's interesting to see how high schools have adapted that and kind of move forward by using it as well.
And then I think it's in a weird way, like, professional can learn from high school, can learn from professional, can learn from college.
Absolutely.
Because I think you're seeing a lot more of that. I mean, look at Ohio State last year. Obviously, they just had 2 running backs who could have been the guy, the singular guy.
Yeah.
But had them both, and it was like, well, let's use them.
And both guys could end up being the guy at different NFL teams.
True.
After separating,
Yes, absolutely.
So yeah, it's interesting, and Taft has certainly figured out a formula that works for them. Interested to see, like I said, Aiken being the big one that I'm keeping eyes on later in the year that we'll probably predict on this podcast.
Sure thing. Now let's head over to North College Hill.
Yeah, so a team that I got the chance to be on the sidelines for this year, or last week. They had a 6:30 kick, so I figured, you know what, let's go out here, get a couple shots of them before I get off to my 7 p.m. games. They did not disappoint.
Good.
They are energetic, is the word that I would use to describe that. There's just a buzz going on. Even like when they were practicing, warming up, something just feels like they have so much pride in what they're doing right now. So it's a gimme, 5-0. They have wins over St. Bernard Elmwood Place, Bethel Tate, Western Hills, kind of some of the ones within our region. And then whenever you're looking at the games coming up, I would say Cincinnati Country Day is the big one in Week 9 that I want to point out for them. Should be a very interesting one. They are 4-1, I believe, within the conference, or just within the season, but also in the MVC. So that would be the big one that I would say it's still left. The things that I would say are working, the culture I do want to talk about first.
Sure.
Because whenever I'm not doing the podcast or helping shoot or whatnot, I'm line producing. I help with our 6 p.m. show.
Yes.
One of the stories we covered at the beginning of the year was North College Hill. They had a couple different shooting incidents near the field, caused them to move games around last year, kind of caused some discomfort, messed with some players, and ultimately their season did not go how they wanted it to.
Absolutely.
This year, they have pretty much doubled up on security. They are making sure that, I think if you're under 18, you have to have a parent with you at the game. Mm-hmm. There's a clear bag policy. They have security. They are not just police officers. But that change in making people feel safer at the game has led to such a drastic culture shift to where these players are now visibly competing for their community and trying to make sure that they have a reason to show up to these games. Because now that it's back at home, now that they have they're not having to move around, they feel good about where they're at, they're fighting. 5-0, like I said, they've had some really dominant performances. And, on top of that culture, it helps when you have such talented players. And they found that with their quarterback. Arneal Carr was their quarterback. Like I said, I've only been able to go to one game of theirs this year, but my limited exposure to him, very interesting. He can get mobile laterally. He typically stays within the pocket from what I got to see, but he's having a great junior year. Over 1,000 pass yards, about 55% completion rate, 12 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and then over 100 rushing yards and a touchdown. So he's still continuing to grow. Again, they were I want to say a 4-win team last year, might have even been a 3-win team. So they're very much trying.
You have it down as 3-6 last year.
Yeah. So they're still trying to figure it out, and growing and developing, and winning. Whenever you're winning games, that's when you're really actually developing, because you're finding out what works. When you find out what doesn't work, it's easy to lose your confidence. It's easy to lose your rhythm and not quite come up to speed where you want to be. Arneal Carr has started to make motion towards that. I think that we could be in for a very good senior year for him, and I think as this year continues to progress, he's just going to keep getting better. And then the last point here we go. So I pushed ahead to a running back that we have not talked about yet. I finally got to see him this year. We should be talking about him more. Okay. And I fully intend to be talking about Cornelius Spiller as the season progresses, because listen to this stat line. 879 rush yards, 5 games.
He's just about.
That's like.
He's 200 short of being out rushing the passer.
Correct. Yeah. And he's also 130 short of having 1,000 through 5 games.
Yes.
So he's like at 160 average right now, 10.6 yards per carry, and then 7 touchdowns. Ooh. Their main back, 800 yards, 10 yards per carry. So he's got 80 touches.
Yeah.
And he's just, almost unstoppable.
I was going to say that's like those Derrick Henry numbers. Well, not entirely, but like when you go back and you look at those high school numbers and you're just like, how did he do that?
I'm about to say Derrick Henry did have like 300 yards per game.
Yeah, it was
in high school.
Very insane.
That's unreasonable to compare anybody to. But Cornelius Spiller, the closest I believe to it, right? Within our tri-state right now.
Within our tri-state.
And then the defense genuinely horrifying. So just to quickly read off some stats: over 25 sacks, over 40 tackles for loss, 5 forced fumbles, 7 interceptions. They've got Kavanaugh Whitaker, who has 10 sacks, Anthony Branch, 8.5 sacks, Dannon Washington, 2 picks, Javion Allen, 2 picks. He's also like a 400-yard receiver. It's guys on guys on guys. They have so much talent just running throughout the defense. And while I think that kind of has been their shining light, I think we've seen the most growth in the offense, which has led them to becoming such a drastically different team than they were last year.
Yes.
And then the last team I want to focus on here, these were all 4 Ohio teams, notably, but the Kentucky side, we only have a handful of folks, and the Indiana schools kind of perform as we expect them to.
Yeah, well, and it's kind of like, like you said at the start of the year, we talked about the Indiana teams when they played each other.
Yes.
And then it's kind of just, what are we going to say about these teams that are outside of our area that we don't know as well and things like that?
Well, and they also end up to where it's like, it's harder for us to get stats on them.
Yes.
Because Indiana's just not as robust, so it gets difficult to talk about them. Another conference, though, that we don't talk about a whole lot that honestly flew under my radar, the Southern Buckeye, Williamsburg has been lighting it up.
Okay.
They have been on top of the world this year. The Wildcats are 5-0. They beat Reading. They beat New Richmond, Marymount, Hillsborough, McLean. Their remaining schedule still pretty functional for them. I don't know that there was any team besides Roger Bacon that was above 500. So that was the team that I picked as kind of the highlight, as the one that I'm ready to see them play.
Sure.
And overall, they kind of play that old school football that I grew up on, to be honest, in the South. They run it first. Gray Robinson at 500 yards, 7.9 yards per carry, 4 touchdowns. Landon Hiddle, Troy Harris, both over 200 yards, over 1,200 as a team, all that good stuff. But don't let that confuse you. They can still pass it when they need to. Carson Tenenfeld, there we go, is 760 pass yards, almost 60% completion rate, 6 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 5 rushing touchdowns, has 1 game over 250 yards, and it was Reading, I believe. They usually can get it done on the ground.
Yeah.
So they let him filter in wherever he's needed, kind of for those third downs, what have you, but they do look to run first. And then as a team, nobody has more than 1 sack, but they have 4 as a unit. Nobody has more than 1 forced fumble. They have 3 as a team. 2 interceptions as a team, both by different dudes. 20 tackles for loss. It's just it really does rotate, like in the most truest form, where the numbers aren't going to be gaudy, but they're going to do exactly what they need to get the win.
You're not looking at a star that's carrying a team. You're looking at a collection of guys who are working together.
Correct. Well, and even if they're
wins.
not getting in the backfield and they're not, getting crazy tackle for loss numbers like we saw out of some of these other ones,
Sure.
They're stopping you at the 3. They're stopping you to, to pass the line of
You're
scrimmage.
getting in the line, and
Right. It's
getting
not
shut
like they're just barely winning off the luck or what have you. They are just a very functional team that takes shifts on, like, okay, the offense is going to get it done this week. Now the defense is going to get it done this week. And they just keep finding a way, obviously, to remain undefeated.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and those are. I'll say this: those were fun teams.
Yeah,
Because I knew you were bringing Princeton in since like 2 weeks ago now.
Naturally.
But talking about North College Hill, especially, like that is an area where culture means a lot, and I'm very glad to see the way things are changing. I would travel through there a lot because my grandma lived in that area, and so it was easy to just go on the Reagan, get off, and I'm in North College Hill all the time. But like, yeah, you can tell when they're getting support, when the schools are getting support, and things like that.
Absolutely.
What a difference it makes.
And obviously the selfish part of me, to be able to combine my day job, so to speak, with the stuff that I get to do within the station on the podcast, and seeing how the security has made life better for that football team. And again, being on the sideline, like on Friday, there's video that you'll see on the screen where they have this chain to celebrate whenever they've scored a touchdown or caused a turnover, and it's just people on the sideline getting loud for their guys and making sure that the energy is up, and that's what high school football is about, man.
That's what it is all about.
Absolutely.
And where that also applies is over to the college side as well.
Absolutely.
Little bigger stadiums that you get to fill each Saturday, but
depending, because Moeller ends up going to a lot of, like, they play at Thomas More a lot. They've played at Nippert a couple times.
Fair.
Yeah, but generally speaking.
But yes. Let's look at the college rundown this week.
Yeah.
Because as you just mentioned, Nippert not having a game this week because Cincinnati is heading out to Lawrence, Kansas to play the Jayhawks. Cincinnati's 2-1 going into this game. Kansas 3-1. It's a noon kickoff. As of like 2 hours ago.
Yep.
Kansas, 4.5-point favorites.
Interesting. Just the home spread. So that would mean it's probably like a 1.5 on a neutral site.
That's what I'm thinking as well. It does feel like a game that's close. It's still one of those things where I just don't know what UC is going to do when they go out here. And I'll say this: Nebraska was a very good test to start the season off with. I like this as a start to the conference season because it's not going to be as much as Kansas historically was a easy team,
they're not easy.
They're not easy anymore.
No.
And Lance Leipold has definitely like turned that program around a good bit. And Scott Satterfield even talked about that a little bit in his Tuesday press conference as I was kind of reading through some of the transcripts with that. My big concern is just that this team is still offensively Brendan Sorsby dependent.
Yes. And they've really not done much to hide that.
No. He's 45 for 64, 655 yards, 8 touchdowns, 1 interception, leads the team in rushing yards at 175, 4 touchdowns.
They haven't figured out how to replace Kiner.
They haven't. And that's exactly right. And I know there's some options that are kind of getting used and moved around and things like that. But it makes me hesitate going into this game if Leipold and the Jayhawks have kind of locked in and are like, okay, well, we just got to shut down that guy. So it's kind of what you saw against Nebraska in a way, where they were just like, we got to just cover, we got to prevent him from being able to throw it downfield, especially at the end of that game. And I think even in Texas Tech last year was where we kind of saw that turn happen. And a lot of those, he was airing it out in that game, but once the Red Raiders kind of figured it out, they were like, okay, we got to just prevent him from getting it to these receivers deep downfield. And then the offense kind of slowed and halted. Yeah. I did want to shout out linebacker Jake Golday, 28 tackles, 2 sacks. On the Kansas side, Jalen Daniels is 66 for 99, 12 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 817 yards.
Which he's been kind of the guy to know for the Jayhawks for
Sure.
4 years now, 3 years now, since pretty much Leipold became a household name within college football.
Yeah, I think that's a very good.
Which was 3 years ago, right? Whenever they were like 6-0.
Was that 3?
It was the same year as Cuse,
What
when
year is
Cuse
it?
did it.
I thought it was 21. 4 years ago?
Maybe. I don't know. Either way.
3 or 4 years ago.
He's like a 7th-year player because he got hurt last year.
Yes, he's got I think it's his 6th year technically or whatever, but
yeah.
His connection with Emmanuel Henderson Jr., they've found 221 yards in the air together.
Yeah.
That's probably who the Bearcats will need to stop if they want to prevent Kansas from pulling out too far ahead in the early parts of this game. So.
I would agree. So I'm going to go with the Jayhawks here, just because I do feel like they're playing more like a unit right now. I feel better about the run game, and until UC can kind of prove, hey, we know who replaced Corey Kiner, I don't love – like, I think Sorsby's a very good quarterback, but he can't do it on his own, not at the collegiate level.
Absolutely.
And so I'm going to lean Kansas. I know I trust Leipold more right now. And so I think that not by a lot. I think it's probably a touchdown differential, but I do think they probably come out with the home win in Lawrence.
You and I are on the same page because I was going to say I think it's Kansas by a touchdown because I also just don't see – I'm curious to see if this defense can hold them to field goals and not be able to just keep scoring and getting in the end zone. And that's why, to me, it's like, oh, it's going to be a touchdown. Like, they're just going to find a way. The Jayhawks are going to find a way in, and that's going to be something that the Bearcats have to address next week.
Yeah, absolutely.
But hopefully I'm proven wrong if you're a UC fan.
Yeah. I'm about to say, we're absolutely hoping for UC to come out with the win. It's just a matter of predictions.
Yeah, and we're logical.
I have missed one game so far. I am only doing it based on my logic. I can't do anything but that.
Beautiful. I love it. So we are both picking Kansas on that one. Moving on to Louisville at Pittsburgh. Another noon game.
Very different game than I thought we'd be talking about.
Very different game. Louisville's 4.5-point favorites.
That's low. Sorry to spoil, but like after what I saw out of Pittsburgh in the backyard brawl, I just don't, because West Virginia is not that great.
Well, let me say this. Part of me thinks Pitt was a little overhyped.
Yeah. But, like, you don't lose to West Virginia. Like, Neil Brown has been on the hot seat since he got there.
Yes, very true.
And, kudos to him for, like, putting together a win and making something happen. But, ultimately, Pat Narduzzi is supposed to be the guy who has it all figured out in the ACC. He is kind of like what Paul Chryst was at Wisconsin, which I bring him up so much, and I don't know why. But where it's just like I'm going to get you 9. Okay, James Franklin.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll give him the James Franklin tag within the ACC because like Dabo would be, Ryan Day, and Miami and Cristobal would be Michigan probably. So but Pitt is supposed to be that team that's going to get you 9 wins every year, maybe 10. Eli Holstein coming into the year, we thought he was going to be really good. Jury's kind of out on that right now. But all the quarterbacks we thought were supposed to be good aren't good now.
So let's talk a little bit about stats because you mentioned Holstein.
Yes.
Eli Holstein, 822 yards, 58 for 88.
Yep.
9 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, which I think is a big piece of this puzzle right now.
Yes.
Raphael Williams Jr. had 245 yards, 3 touchdowns, and really picked up during the backyard brawl as a running back. And then here's my big thing. Do you know who Pitt played before West Virginia?
Oh, I do, but I'm not going to be able to think of it.
Because it is Central Michigan and Duquesne.
Okay.
Duquesne's not.
No. Duquesne's not even FBS.
Nope. CMU.
Yep.
Not a top. In West Virginia losing to Ohio. Tough MAC school to play.
Yes. CMU not.
CMU's
they're middle of the pack at best.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. So that is one thing that really makes me question. I also think my only issue with the Cardinals is just that I don't think they've. It's kind of the reverse of Cincinnati in a way, where Miller Moss has not clicked like he needs to,
but everything else has.
Yes, and their run offense pushing that team forward. Isaac Brown has almost 250 yards on 19 carries, 3 touchdowns.
Okay.
Miller Moss 690 yards on 53 and 80, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. It's at least one of those things where I'm, unlike another quarterback who we won't actually talk about this week, I don't think he's trying to push himself too hard to try and make things happen when they aren't always there and then throw interceptions. To me, to have that 1-to-1 ratio,
it's such a low clip too. Like 2-to-2 just makes you look timid. It doesn't make you look, like you're
making the safe plays to set up Isaac Brown to get into the end zone and run it.
Correct. Which in some instances is okay.
Absolutely.
But you still have to be more efficient and effective than 2 touchdowns, 2 picks.
Yes.
After 4 games, 2 of which were Duquesne and CMU, like you said.
Well, no.
3 games, 2 games.
Because this is Louisville.
Oh, so sorry. That's Pitt.
Because that's why I'm like 9 touchdowns versus Duquesne and CMU.
Yeah, so Louisville was JMU, and
we do this every time.
It's okay.
Eastern Michigan.
Yep.
No, Eastern was Kentucky.
Was it? I don't know. Either way.
I know.
There's schools that feasibly he should have more than 2 touchdowns against once it's all said and done.
It was Eastern Kentucky was the first week.
Yes.
And then JMU, and then another week.
It was like an FCS.
It was a MAC. Yeah. No, it was a MAC school.
Oh, it was a MAC?
I just can't
remember.
Was it
like NIU
which one.
Or something?
No.
I don't know. It's fine.
We'll debate it until the end of the time, but you'd think we would remember the things that we talked about last week.
Yeah, but dude, we talk about so many different teams and games, and then you watch other games, like all of our Fox lineup that we'll talk about it eventually.
Absolutely.
Like, football's great, but it's so hard to keep track of it sometimes.
Especially with 162, 156 teams
something
in the
like
FBS.
That. Yeah, more than I can count.
I am gonna go ahead. I'm gonna go and just pick Louisville here.
Yeah.
I think if they do lose, this is a game where we come back here next week and go, the Cardinals are in a weird spot, and this is concerning. So I was listening on the way into here. The Split Zones duo, who I listened to, was talking about how they named Louisville as the dark horse in the ACC earlier on this year, and now they look like a dim, if not natural, light horse to be playing Miami in Charlotte in the championship.
I mean, it's them or Georgia Tech.
Yeah, right now.
Those are the 3.
Yeah, because it's not going to be Clemson.
Nope, they've made sure of that much.
And even SMU could still, I think, maybe do something, but to be seen.
Yeah. But even still, they lost to Baylor, right? They lost to somebody weird.
I think so.
You know who that gives me credence to talk about before you move on?
Nope. Because we're going to move on to Ryan Day and the Buckeyes.
Ooh, there you go. There's another one we like to talk about.
They are playing up. They're up against the Washington Huskies. So let me go ahead. Do you want to guess the line? And I'll give you two options. You can either guess. Whatever you guess, I will let you know if you are either closer to where it opened or where it's at right now.
21.5.
You are closer to where it opened.
It is at 27.
Too high. Opened at 13.5, moved down to 8.5.
Whoa, really?
Yes.
Why?
I'm not quite sure. Washington did play Wazoo in the Apple Cup this weekend. I believe won by like 55 to 20 something, if I'm not mistaken.
Wazoo's
not that great. They're no Oregon State, but they are not in the best spot right now with
but
the
they're
Pac-12
also
and all
going through changes. Like Jake Dickert's at Wake now. Like it's Cam Ward's been gone for a while.
Yep.
Like they're just not really.
They've
don't
seen
really
a
have
lot
any
of
horses.
rotation in and out, and maybe next year with the Pac-12, 10, whatever coming back,
When they can officially play Boise State and it count against their conference schedule.
but at least to have a conference is such a major difference maker too.
Because but you look at UMass, look at UConn.
Yeah.
Like without that stability, Notre Dame's the only one that can pull it off, and that's because they get oogles and oogles of TV rights to them.
Yes, and I think UConn has done the thing of like starting their own TV thing, and that is giving them a little bit of something to work with. UMass is coming to the MAC.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's one of those things where just like, until you're in the conference, it is a little bit of a Wild West, and you're not quite sure what's going to be happening, especially monetarily.
Before we move off from UConn, Jim Mora might actually make them something.
I'm on board for the Huskies.
I like
in
it.
football.
Jim Mora knows how to coach, man.
Yeah, it has been a very impressive team so far this year.
Sorry, but Washington.
But we're talking about the Huskies.
Yeah, different ones.
Settled to 8.5. This is kind of my question of, will we see Justin go Super Saiyan?
Stop.
Did I want to make that
Stop.
joke? Yeah, absolutely.
Stop.
He has had 8 touchdowns so far this year, 56 for 71 for 779 yards.
Mm-hmm.
He's going up against Damon Williams Jr. for UW, who has at 778 yards, 50 for 68, 6 touchdowns. This is just one of those things where I go, what does Vegas know? Was there an injury report that I just haven't seen?
Now it's in Spokane, right?
Well, it wouldn't be in Spokane because that was where Wazoo plays. It would be in Seattle, which is where
Tacoma. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, and yes, it is.
My bad. Okay. I'm taking Ohio State like comfortably. Like I don't even think that Julian Sanchez has to have that good of a game.
Sure.
I really do think they could win by 2 or 3 touchdowns without that, just because like there's the 4 teams maybe in college football that have the talent that Ohio State does, and they're clicking as a unit. Like Texas was a tough one, but it's also like Texas' defense is really good.
Texas' defense is really good, and we've seen now that Texas' offense is not as good as people expected it to be at the start of the year. It was interesting to me to see them play against Ohio. While like there was never a doubt that like it wasn't like we were like, oh man, the Bobcats might do this. The first half, you're kind of like, okay, they're holding Ohio State to something that I did not expect to see happen. Mm-hmm. And then Ohio State came out in the second half,
and off it went.
Took off.
Right.
I don't know if that's a key that plays into it. Is that Ohio game? I don't know if it's just the travel. I don't know if it's something to do with how UW played in the Apple Cup. It's a lot of questions, but at the end of the day, I'm not like Moeller. I'm not going to bet against Ohio State at this point.
No, yeah, it's there. You'd be silly to. And like if I had to go, if we're talking about the line too, like again, I do think it's a 2-touchdown game. Like
I think it's 14 point. Like I absolutely agree on two touchdowns.
Penn State, Oregon, end of list. In terms of Big Ten games that I walk in being like, oh, this might be within a touchdown.
Indiana.
Against Ohio State. Against Ohio State. I don't think so. Personally, I'd be happy to be proven wrong.
It's one of those ones where it's not one where I'm like, oh, I'm 100% confident this happens, but it's like one where I'm like, I could see Indiana doing it.
Which
Indiana's on a wagon right now.
Which oddly enough, my third one would have been Illinois, but Indiana did, roll them up. So more power to them.
Yeah. Once again, we're agreeing on the Buckeyes there. Let's move on. So let me ask you this, Jackson. Did you ever play the Kirby games?
No.
From Nintendo? Okay.
I did not.
Well,
we had very different childhoods, bro.
That's fair. Because there's a power up in Kirby when he.
No, that's the pink fella that
he's
eats
the
everybody.
pink
right?
fella that sucks people up.
Yep.
sucks up the monsters, takes their powers.
Yes.
So there's like a fire one, there's a sword one, but there's specifically one that's called Cutter, and the Wildcats added Cutter, and it seemed to have given them a nice little power up.
I like that. I can appreciate it.
Thank you. I was really disappointed you didn't know that reference, or else because I would have been so much smoother.
But even not knowing the reference, I respect it.
Yes. Cutter Bully came out against EM. Well,
it is
came out for a full game against the EMU. 12 for 21, 244 yards, 2 touchdowns against the Eagles. Seth McGowan, Jason Patterson combined for 4 rushing touchdowns, 184 yards. This is a weird. It feels like I shouldn't be watching this sometimes. You know what I mean? Like when I think of Kentucky football, I don't go, ooh, fun offense. Like I expect it to be, it's defenses getting down in the dirt and just really grinding away at it.
It's what kind of weird
and then
confusing setup is Mark Soup's going to bring me this week?
How is he going to win 13-7 because somehow they held the other team to only 1 touchdown?
Is he going to forget how to coach for a half against Toledo? Like these are and then almost beat Ole Miss the next week.
Yep. Yep.
Who has become a real weird one because now they've got a quarterback battle.
Yeah, yes, they do.
Strange.
All of this is weird. SEC's weird.
And South Carolina probably shouldn't even have Lenoris. It should probably be Luke Doty, but he's just like hanging on by a piece of duct tape, just like out there fighting.
I mean this honestly. I don't know how you are still standing after 5 sacks against the Mizzou team last week.
Well, and after he got hurt.
Yeah.
Like he got hurt the week before. They trot him back out here. Honestly, it kind of reminds me a little bit of like the RG3 setup, where it's like just let him. Like I understand that he's like your guide. He is the whole way that you win.
Yeah.
But you're not going to have him anymore if you keep doing this. Like Luke Doty has played SEC ball. Like just let him, just have him play a game or two. Like let Sellers catch his breath.
Well, and I think that this is a moment to maybe if you are. Man, I don't even know if you are South Carolina that you would do that because I am genuinely interested to see what Kentucky's offense does against this defense. They only the Gamecock defense only had a 25% stop rate last week. Not great.
No, you can't do that.
Lenore Sellers is 733 on the year, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. But if he's going to keep getting knocked to the ground, like, what are you doing with that?
Right.
I'll be very honest. I'm cautious. I'm cautiously optimistic about Kentucky, and I think I'm going to pick them over South Carolina in this game.
Is this in Lexington?
This is in South Carolina.
Then I'm going to take South Carolina. That's the difference maker for me. I don't trust either one.
Let me ask you this now. Do you want to guess the line?
4.5 for South Carolina.
6.5 for South Carolina.
6.5. Okay. So a touchdown. That's
again a touchdown.
I don't even know that I probably would take Kentucky the other way.
I know, and again I'm kind of I'm of the mind that Kentucky could win this by a field goal. Keep it tied going to the 4th. Cutter Bully doesn't
even have to be that good of a quarterback. He just has to be better than what Calzada's offered them, which isn't that hard.
He is already.
Right. And I do want a grain of salt it a little bit because it was Eastern Michigan.
Sure.
But you come out of that Eastern Michigan game going,
but he's also younger than Calzada.
Yes.
You're getting more out of him by taking this time now to let him get those reps. You know, if at this point, like, just prepare him for next year.
Yeah. Because what is keeping him on the bench do? What does starting Calzada do for you? He's not going to the NFL.
No.
He's comfortable with that, I would imagine. And like even if he does do something, he'll probably go Canada, Europe, some kind of something.
I would expect a Canada.
So let Cutter Bully go out there and figure out if you need to transfer a guy in. Figure out if you need to roll with Cutter. Obviously, we know that Pontotoski's on his way in. You'll want at least a year to let him redshirt and do his thing.
Let him redshirt for a year.
And still, he's a 3-star. Like, that's not like a natural, redshirt freshman. He needs to be the starter kind of thing.
It could be something where you change staff, have more of a developmental staff build or whatever.
And it's also a situation of Stoops isn't going to keep his job by trotting Calzada out there.
No.
So at least take the devil you don't know at this point.
I think if you want to, because respectfully to Kentucky fans, no one is looking for a national championship.
No.
from Stoops.
Especially not this year.
Especially not this year. And, to me, it's like an 8-win season is like a big 8-9-win season like they had with Will Levis.
Mm-hmm.
That's a victory in a way.
Absolutely. If you can get to 7-5 with Cutter Bully as your quarterback, you had a fantastic year.
That is a good year. That is a surprisingly good year.
If you can get to 6-6 with Cutter Bully, I think Stoops keeps his job.
Oh, I think if they go to a bowl, he keeps. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think that, again, that's kind of that meeting the minimum expectations in a way.
I would agree.
So
yeah, we're splitting on that one.
This is where we will
Yes.
split. I will go Kentucky. You will go South Carolina. Very well.
And that is purely because of home field.
Which
Not
fair.
the apparel company, but the advantage.
Thank you. Good. No free plugs. Let's move on to Oxford. I should also mention that Kentucky game is at 7:45 at night on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Another 3:30 game, though, is the Lindenwood Lions are heading to Miami to play the Red Hawks.
Yes.
When
you said Oxford, I thought Mississippi for a very quick second.
And
I got really confused.
Your Southern is showing again.
Yes, it is.
So DeQuan Finn did go down in the second quarter against UNLV, 41-38 loss.
Mm-hmm.
Keith Reynolds was able to stand out, caught a touchdown, ran back a kickoff, 100
Yep.
yards.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy stuff.
Take
Love
that. Absolutely.
Kenny Tracy, running back, finding some answers on the ground, got 2 touchdowns. I'm going to just be honest with you. It looks like Miami is going to finish up this non-conference 1-3,
Mm-hmm.
get ready for back play.
In true Red Hawk fashion.
I
I don't really think we have to spend that much time on it. The Red Hawks still trying to figure out their identity. Predicting them to win this game does not say a whole lot about where what we think about them right now. Chuck Martin does still have a ways to go in terms of what this team's going to look like by the end of the year, but they're gonna. I think they win this one pretty comfortably and move forward.
at this point,
some kind of momentum.
They are still a top 3.
Mm-hmm.
Top at a minimum top 4, probably top 3
until they're proven not.
Yes,
We're just gonna call them top 3.
Bowling Green makes me question if they're number 3 and Miami's right below them right now.
That's fair.
But it's one of those things I'm just gonna have to see the matchup. But otherwise, Ohio, Toledo does make me actually question some things too, of like that 2-3 spot. Ohio's leading the MAC right now. We're gonna see how things play out once we get into conference play, though.
I agree. That's all 5, right?
That was all 5.
There we go.
But we also have 2 games on Fox this weekend.
Hey, man.
One of your favorites.
Baylor.
Nope. USC heading to Illinois to play at 9 a.m. their time.
That was a trap. That is a very fun game, though. Could not think of 2 less similar coaches.
Brett Bielema and Lincoln Riley, yeah.
Yes.
Do you think they shake hands? Or do they do some weird?
No, I think they shake hands, but I think Brett is really not pumped about it, and I think Lincoln uses a lot of sanitizer after.
Okay.
That's my.
I think Lincoln tries to dap too, and Brett's like, "What are you doing with my hand?"
Yeah, he pushes him. He thinks it's like a fight initiation. But you said that's at 9?
It's at noon.
Noon. Oh,
It's a noon game, but
I don't know
9
why
o'clock for USC.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah.
duh. Yeah, because
Back home in California.
time zones exist.
But yeah, it's just a game that I'm interested in seeing how Illinois jumps back from that Indiana loss. USC doesn't look as bad as they've been in a couple years.
That's the kind
It's
of game that
fun.
makes me go, maybe the weird conference setups aren't that bad after all. You know what I mean? Because ultimately, college football should be regional, but to just be like, yeah, we got USC and Illinois at noon on a Saturday, it's like, yeah, that kind of rules.
Speaking of weird conference setups, I have to just touch on this for a moment.
Yeah.
Did you see the ACC change, where they're going to require 9 conference games?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But you can't because they have 17 teams. So one team has to have 8 games.
That's fantastic.
And so everybody's already debating, okay, so what happens when a team is 7 or 8-1 and another team 7-1? Who goes to the championship? Or 8-1 and 8-2? How do you tie break these things? So that'll be fun to see what happens in the future.
I think that means they probably try to add Tulane, Memphis.
There's a good chance. Memphis would make more sense.
But Tulane,
that doesn't make sense either.
I don't. Tulane. I mean, they're at least
Tulane's
touching
good.
the Atlantic Ocean.
I just don't know. I don't know if Tulane needs to leave.
Probably not. But I think that's just kind of the status quo if you're if you're a good team in the American at this point.
For sure. But
Sorry.
Memphis
We've got
to me
off
just
subject.
makes sense where you have like that corridor, Louisville, not West Virginia, SMU now,
Yeah. Either way.
all the way over to Stanford.
Either way, they'll have to fix that in
The
some
ACC.
capacity.
And then moving on to Big 12 at 3:30, Utah at West Virginia.
Weird.
Another weird one. I think the Utes are going to win it.
I'd say so too, but I don't know. Dampier hasn't really sold me at the level that I was hoping he would.
That's fair.
Whittingham is also not. I don't think he's losing his fastball, but he's losing speed on it.
A little bit.
It's becoming less. We're not at Gundy yet,
No.
but we're like. You can at least see the signs.
Nobody's that Gundy. except for
Whittingham
Gundy.
will also retire with grace. In my bold prediction,
Fair.
like everybody knew that Gundy should have retired at the end of last year. That was not
When he
a secret.
signed a new contract to make his buyout smaller. Yeah.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
and then Oklahoma State was like, we have the money in the background.
Yeah.
Say the word.
They were holding up a sign being like, you were getting rid of him at the first exit route.
And it was Tulsa.
Yeah. Go
That was
figure.
First exit.
The Golden Hurricane took him away.
And then at 7 p.m., we got our Cincinnati Reds
Beautiful.
as they're playing for a spot in the wild card. I'll be very honest. I hope that game is still important that night.
I know a lot of people who don't. I know a lot of people really hope it ain't.
I'll say right now, because of the lack of winning yesterday,
It's
it
probably
could
going to
still
be.
matter.
Yep.
But hopefully that they are able to turn things around and get some wins in and get that wild card spot locked down.
Absolutely.
So
yeah, until then, we've obviously got a bunch of content coming out.
we've
for you.
got
Where
plenty
can
of
you
content
find
coming out.
All of our stuff.
Our 19 on the clocks come out every Thursday on the FOX19 NOW Sports feed on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more. You can also find it on the FOX19 NOW YouTube page. On Friday mornings comes out the Gold Standard with Joe Daneman and Charlie Goldsmith. And on Mondays is Offsides with Gabby Sorrentino, even though that this week it came out on a Tuesday.
Yes, which is my fault.
It's okay.
Yes, no, because I totally was like, we talked about that on a Thursday that you were like, you're in charge of this, and then I did not think about it again.
It's okay. I should
And
have left you a note
and I
and
felt
put
bad.
it on your
You
monitor.
should've.
It's fine.
But whatever.
You would have thrown it away. I
Yeah.
know.
So apologies on that front.
But that is all that we have for this week, Jackson. Thank you all for listening. We'll see you guys next time.
Have a good one.